Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypherbox, and what I want to talk about here is a video that Fight Hype did the other day. They did an interview with Keith One-Time Thurman, and Keith One-Time Thurman on there basically turned around and spoke about, he was asked about Errol Spence, and he basically said that it wasn't in the immediate plans, his immediate plans, to face Errol Spence anytime soon. So basically what you're saying, what was on a plate right now, Errol Spence wasn't on that plate. So he says right now he's focused on first having his tune-up fight. So let's not forget, Keith One-Time Thurman has been, he's been on a long layoff. He's been off about a 12-month period, just got married, all that sort of stuff. He's been off due to injury as well. And he's saying he needs a tune-up fight, which I get, I agree with, I understand that. I've got no problem with him having a tune-up fight. Obviously when you've been out for that long and plus you've been dealing with a injury, then yeah, I can understand it. He then turned around and said that also, he has other obligations to meet before he even considers fighting Errol Spence. Mainly his mandatory defense against Shawn Porter, a rematch. Shawn Porter is now the mandatory challenger to his WBC belt. The first time they fought, he was a mandatory, I believe, to his WBA belt. This time he's worked his way into the position so he can get a rematch with Thurman and worked himself in a position where he's now the WBC mandatory challenger for Thurman's WBC belt. He says, I've got to deal with that first. And he also turned around and said, when he was asked a question, do you think this fight's more likely to happen in 2019? And his answer to that was yes. He also turned around and said that, Errol Spence, when they met in New York and they were having the press conference, etc., when he announced he was coming back and he was on the Showtime, he was one of the Showtime pundits, and in the press conference, Errol Spence says, when Keith is ready, we can do it. And Keith, he's openly said it on that Fight Hype interview, saying that, well, guess what? I'm not ready. Not because he's not ready, because he feels he's got other things he's got to take care of first before he even, starts talking or discussing a fight with Errol Spence, a unification fight with Errol Spence. So mainly his tune-up fight, which he definitely needs, no doubt about it. And then Shawn Porter, his mandatory challenge, and then he says we can start talking about Errol Spence once I get those things out of the way. My thoughts on this, I don't know whether we've got to wait till 2019 for it. And this is the way I look at it. I mean, let's say now, apparently he's supposed to be coming back in January or February to have his fight. That's his tune-up fight. He'll pick someone easy, of course. That's how it works. Just to feel himself out, feel his injury out, knock off the ring rust, and get himself back into fight condition, basically. Fair enough, I get that one. He could probably then have that mandatory challenge against Shawn Porter, maybe May, maybe June. Providing he comes through that and he wins, I still think he could have this fight this year, towards the back end of 2018. Doesn't have to be in the early parts of 2018. Doesn't have to be even in the summer of 2018. Could be in the autumn, fall, or in the winter of 2018. But he could definitely still have this fight in 2018, I feel. I don't think we have to wait that long for it. He's got, it's a whole year. You can have 3 fights in a year. So part of me doesn't really, I agree with what he's saying. A lot of people are going to say, well, why is he going to have the fight mandatory challenge with Shawn Porter? If it's been ordered, 2 things, he either agrees to terms and fights Shawn Porter, or he pays Shawn Porter some step aside money. Now I don't think Shawn Porter is gonna accept a step aside deal. He's hungry to get back in there, have the rematch, and beat Keith Thurman. So if anyone out there is thinking, well, you could pay Shawn Porter to step aside, I don't think Shawn Porter is going to go for that. From what I've seen in previous interviews over the months since Keith Thurman's announced his comeback, I don't see Shawn Porter or his dad agreeing to stepping aside. So he would probably have to deal with that mandatory challenge. But again, I don't think there's any reason, in my opinion, there's no reason why he still can't have that fight in 2018, even if it's at the back end of the year. You know, have you tune up at the beginning of this year, next year, in the summer at some point, face Shawn Porter, take care of your mandatory challenge, and then at the end of 2018, you know, at the end of the year, you know, take on that, if he gets through Shawn Porter, take on Errol Spence and have that unification fight. That's the way I see it. I don't see any reason for us to have to wait till 2019 for that fight to happen. I mean, I'll put the video in the link of the description of this video, and you can have a listen to what he's saying yourselves. I did see another video on YouTube that did kind of analyse this whole situation. A little bit harsh, I think, but I do agree that this fight can happen in 2018. I disagree with the fact that it needs to wait till 2019. It can happen in 2018. We can have these two in a unification fight, you know, late 2018. It doesn't have to be at the beginning, like I said, for obvious reasons. A tune-up doesn't have to happen in the summer, because you can get Shawn Porter out of the way, and then if you get through that, take on Errol Spence at the end of the year. That's how I see it anyway. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. As always, guys, like, share and subscribe. Until next time, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.